Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss the challenges of managing a wireless network infrastructure. My name is Alex Zagievsky. I am a Senior Solutions Architect for Winslow Technology Group, and joining me today is Peter Carlson, Senior Solutions Architect for Winslow, as well as Kevin Wills, Senior Solutions Sales Specialist for Cisco Meraki. Before we jump into today's topic, I'll kick off with a brief overview of Winslow Technology Group and then hand the mic over to Kevin to discuss the Meraki solution. Afterwards, Kevin will pass it to Peter so he can review a case study of an actual Winslow customer and why they chose Meraki to solve their networking needs. And it's not just Wi-Fi. I should also mention that all attendees of this webinar are eligible to win a Sonos speaker valued at $180. And encourage you to ask more questions via the Q&A feature of this webinar app for a second chance to win. So about Winslow, we have been in business for over 18 years as a technology solutions provider headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. We have a distributed workforce with satellite offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as New York, New York. Our goal is to identify and develop expertise in game-changing technologies. Our partnership with Cisco being a great example of that. Winslow works with customers like you to tailor technology solutions that solve for both today's problems and tomorrow's opportunities. We specialize in hardware, software, and services, not only for the core data center, but also for end user compute, all of which is complemented by cybersecurity, disaster recovery, and cloud solutions. And speaking of cybersecurity, Winslow's practice follows the NIST cybersecurity framework shown here. And here you can see how the various technologies and services we offer line up with the 5 pillars of that framework. In short, we offer our customers an organized and comprehensive cybersecurity program that also strives to be cost effective. And with that, I will turn it over to Kevin, who will lead our conversation on how to effectively manage your network via the cloud. Kevin, over to you, bud.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for the Winslow Technology Group team for having us on today. My name is Kevin Wills, and I am a solution sales specialist here with Ingram Micro. And I cover Cisco Meraki specifically, so very familiar with the solution holistically. Very engaged with customers on the pre-sale side for enablement and education. Also on the line is Dan Stewart. He is one of our engineers here at Ingram Micro, also covering Meraki, and I'm sure Dan will jump in if he has any technical expertise or get any technical questions that I know is in his wheelhouse. So that being said, we did just want to pretty much just do a quick overview today about what Meraki is and what Meraki has to offer. I know we're kind of, a little bit short on time, but we'll give a holistic overview, and then we'll leave some time for some questions and a case study as well. So Cisco acquired Meraki about 10 years ago. You should be able to see my screen as well. The slide should be moving, but Cisco acquired Meraki 10 years ago, and the full portfolio that Meraki has is really aligned to a standard Cisco portfolio. But when we're talking Meraki, we're really talking about the cloud. And cloud to Meraki is really how you manage that solution today, and really who's managing that solution for you. So if you have a kind of a distributed or lean IT staff, or even have a new IT staff that isn't necessarily up to speed maybe on some Cisco certifications that are needed or something like that, Meraki might be a great fit for you due to its ease of management. And this is really all done via the web-based browser interface, the Meraki dashboard. And really, no matter which products in this portfolio that you see here you have in your network, they can all be managed in the same interface, which is definitely really important. A lot of other solutions require you to manage devices or different product families separately. Maybe with additional software that you have to purchase to kind of bring it all together. That's really not the case here. It's going to be a one-stop shop right in the Meraki dashboard for all your viewing and managing. And so really, if you're investing in one product portfolio or one product family here and are comfortable basically using a browser dashboard, Meraki would probably be a great fit for you. So diving into kind of what is a cloud managed network a little bit deeper, you're going to hear a lot of things about scalability, reliability, And really out of the box, when you put a device, plug a device in, I should say, Meraki is going to establish that secure tunnel to the data center, and the device is going to send that unique serial number to show that it's been properly registered with the Meraki dashboard account. And those are essentially called an organization. So when you think about that, if you or your company organization would consist of maybe a campus or a headquarters, and then if you have different branch offices or retail store, and now naturally in the COVID remote teleworker environment, there's going to be a lot of remote teleworkers that would be part of your organization, and all the locations can be managed right in the dashboard under the same organization. And the device is really going to be able to download configuration, organization settings, firewall rules, whatever it may be, latest versions of firmware, so you're ready to go essentially right out of the box. And the device will start pushing usage information, statistics up to the cloud. So when you log into the dashboard, you'd be able to see what's happening on the network really within just minutes of plugging in the device. And I think it's kind of important to notate that only the management data is funneling through the cloud. So any specific user traffic is not going in the cloud, and that's kind of a common question we get in terms of security and privacy and things like that. So I think that's important to notate as well. Meraki is going to be important or efficient in a managed service practice. So if you are partnering with a managed service provider, like with a Winslow, and then being able for them to be able to proactively support you very easily, very real time, that's going to be important, for a fit if you're partnering with a managed service provider. And the Meraki dashboard can really be used as like a NOC or network operations center of choice to leverage that remote monitoring of the network. And really, whoever is monitoring the network would be able to proactively troubleshoot network needs. Maybe even before you even know that there's an issue or something that needs attention. And with Meraki, there's going to be different levels of network access as well. When we're talking about access, we're talking about full admin access or just viewing access, or even as as the owner of the network, if you want full access, and then being able to grant the managed service provider even a little less configuration permissions, or increase whatever access restrictions you would like. That's going to be up to you. Going to be up to working with your MSP to do that. And again, the MSP dashboard in the Meraki dashboard is really quite branded. Gives you analytics based on your network, and it's really enhancing the customer experience for you. With that MSP being able to do a lot of that, like I mentioned, kind of really before you even know that there might be an issue. And kind of to talk again a little bit more about the cloud versus on-premise positioning. And again, we really don't like to say it's one versus the other or anything like that, because it can definitely be a hybrid solution as well. But when we're comparing Meraki to Cisco on-premise solutions, really with on-premise solutions, it's going to kind of be 100% of the latest and greatest features available from Cisco, right? And naturally, some of those features, might not be used, or might be used by a very, very small percentage of the customer market. And that, this increases complexity. There's different customization that's going to be available, when we're talking about those features and an on-premise solution, where Meraki really strives to provide a large majority of the features, but does not, overcomplicate the network. And again, introduces that centralized management that we've been talking about, the configuration right in the dashboard. You're ready to go right out of the box, kind of that out of the box experience. That's an important part of Meraki's, delivery model. Ready to deploy, up and running in minutes, and really optimized for any, more of that lean IT staff to not have to have, somebody on site. And you can still do a hybrid solution, right? So deploying on Cisco on-premise solutions at the core of your network, while deploying Meraki on the edge of the network to get that user visibility that Meraki is really going to provide there as well. And then, like I said, especially in the COVID remote workforce environment that we're currently in, customers with remote sites or remote workers can easily monitor and manage, without having that IT staff on site, and really also reducing, the spend from your aspect on having to, have that on-site IT staff everywhere. Where now you can just, manage that from one remote location. From a licensing standpoint, Meraki's licensing and kind of support model is essentially going to be required on a 1-to-1 ratio when we're talking about purchased hardware and also licenses. Each hardware device has to have its own license. And the license is really the, I guess, quote unquote, activation of the device, for lack of a better term. You're not going to see the device. Well, you would be able to see the device, but you're not able to manage it and really turn on those, the dashboard capabilities, that management within the dashboard without a license. You would have that network-wide visibility and control. You're going to get your firmware and security updates, as well as that phone support and lifetime warranty. A network or customer organization would be out, quote unquote, out of compliance if you had too many devices based on the licenses that were purchased as well. And the dashboard would notify that and essentially tell you to add another license to get the organization in compliance. License durations do come in 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10-year options. Meraki does have a unique, kind of different license co-term model that it does default to. So in networks that do have a lot of devices that are constantly getting devices added to them, Meraki does proactively co-term all customer organizations by essentially looking at how many devices are running on the network and averaging out the kind of duration of the license that you've already purchased by devices that are in the network. So in theory, a network or an organization that keeps adding devices throughout the lifetime would essentially get the license, the organization end date would be continuously bumped out. That is a benefit for larger networks. There is less management if you've ever been familiar with Cisco SmartNet contracts or anything like that. There's really less management that you have to do of it. And if renewal time comes around and there hasn't been any recent additions, you would just go ahead and renew the entire network, again, based on the devices that are in the organization, just by quantity. And then you would get a renewal license key and be able to bump out the entire organization 1, 3, 5, 7, or 10, whatever it may be. Meraki does have a per device model that is relatively new over the last couple of years. And that would kind of shift the organization over to having that 1-by-1 ratio of licenses to the devices on a per device basis. You could also, again, look at it by a location standpoint. If you did want a certain co-term end date for one location and a different end date for the other location, you could transfer over to that per device licensing model. Once you transfer your organization over to the per device licensing model, you cannot go back to the co-term model. The per device licensing model might be better for an organization that isn't constantly shifting in terms of adding devices, just because there is that increased lift of the management. But the end dates of the licenses could be staggered by device. So again, that would definitely be a conversation you could have with an MSP or something like that that is going to be managing that. There's also Meraki Now support. I guess that's a good time to talk about the warranty as well. Meraki Now is essentially an optional overlay license contract that you can purchase. That is the advanced hardware replacement option, very similar to a traditional Cisco SmartNet. You would just increase the turnaround time on receiving a replacement hardware device, again, based on the support level that you chose. There's a bunch of different support levels based on the turnaround time, days of the week, things like that. Really only critical, it might be important on more critical devices, or maybe some external, outdoor, I should say, maybe access points or cameras, because those outdoor products do not have the traditional lifetime warranty that most Meraki products do that are just indoors. Just again, because they're outdoors, they usually only have a 1 or 3 year hardware warranty on that. So you may want to take a look at some of that, and that kind of brings us to, again, just the overview of the Meraki product family here. So I know we probably have a few minutes left. So just wanted to cover some of the product, the product families that are available. And again, every single product family you see here are going to be available, manageable in the Meraki dashboard right on a browser. So no need to, again, get additional management tools for any of these product families. So when we're talking about the MRs, those are the Meraki access points. Again, going to be a lot of different models based on the specs and things like that. Most models have the multi-gigabit Ethernet ports. There's going to be some Wi-Fi 6 models. There's both the indoor and outdoor models as well. And there's definitely some things that you could do from a Cisco standpoint. There's definitely some umbrella integration in there as well. So again, we would implore you to take a look right online at all these different products available within each family, or engage with Winslow, and they can definitely loop in some Ingram resources such as myself and Dan to maybe work with you, on a solution that would fit the best, or with specific products would fit the best. MX is going to be the security family, and the products are really we're going to be talking about routers, firewalls there, really ranging from small to medium businesses all the way up to enterprise for tens of thousands of users. We're talking next gen firewalls that support things like auto VPN, and some even include like a cellular hard slot as a network interface for internet providers. The firewalls work well with the Meraki Insight. That is increased. Meraki Insight is an additional license that you can purchase for increased analytics for the MX family, as well as the cellular gateway. Meraki does have a product family of switches. The MS family is very similar to the access points, very a long list of models with that range from 824 48 ports, from 1 gigabit ports to multi-gigabit ports, which are relatively new. And the multi-gigabits are going to be important for cameras and APs and things like that. And Meraki does definitely run a lot of promotions in terms of running a current one about ordering a Wi-Fi 6 access point as well with the multi-gigabit switches and things like that. So Meraki's always doing a lot of things to push the latest and greatest to you, the customer, as well. Something that's unique to Meraki is the MV camera line. Again, compared to maybe a Cisco on-prem solution, Cisco doesn't necessarily have a family of cameras. And again, these come in indoor, outdoor. The unique thing about the cameras is it's going to be on-camera storage compared to like a server or something like that. And you can even get additional cloud archives support to archive some of the footage. I believe for up to 180 days, things like that. So, and again, the cameras are pretty cool because you can go into the Meraki, right in the Meraki dashboard, and view a real-time view of the cameras. Last time somebody's motion was detected and things like that. And there's a lot of different models, from a fisheye to a newer, smaller mobile camera and things like that. So, and there's also, like, I think I covered Meraki Insight, but Meraki Systems Manager is going to be that Meraki's MDM solution. And more recently, Meraki has jumped into IoT space with Meraki sensors. And there are going to be, things like a temperature sensor, water leak sensor, a intrusion sensor, again, if like a door open, and they're really kind of designed for you to further monitor, maybe a traditional data center or things like that, with some of these, proactive notifications that can go, right to your phone or right in the dashboard. And the sensors kind of use the MR access point as the gateway to connect to the dashboard as well. So that's kind of nice. So all in all, like I said, full product family. No matter what products you have running in your organization, they're all going to be manageable in that one-stop shop solution, or one-stop shop Meraki dashboard. And with that being said, that's kind of really all I had from a general overview standpoint. Like I said, if you did have any questions about a specific product, feel free to contact your Winslow team, who I'm sure would partner up with Ingram Micro on answering any questions. So that being said, thank you so much for letting me jump on today. And I think I'm going to pass it over back to Alex with Peter presenting on a case study. So thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for that introduction. Again, I want to thank Alex and Daniel for setting this up. My name is Peter Carlson. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect here for Winslow Technology Group. And what I would like to do is go over just a brief overview on a case study that we had with a client that was looking at for what Meraki has to offer. With the, see here, I'm just having a problem advancing next slide here. One second here. There we go. What I want to talk to you about this morning is a firewall switching and wireless solution that we had to design and set up for a client of ours. What this had to deal with, it was looking at central management and remote live tools for alerting. They were also interested in having application visibility and control so they could prioritize traffic along different areas of their network, especially with SaaS applications. They're also looking for enterprise security and guest access controls because due to the nature of the organization, which was a mix of manufacturing, retail, and a destination location, they wanted to have a robust guest access. Last but not least, but having automatic RF optimization. I don't know if any of you have had to manage wireless networks in the past. Meraki's RF optimization makes it really easy to allocate channels to prevent any co-interference within your organization. And also they were looking at future BYOD controls. So I know Kevin had mentioned earlier about getting into the device management space, but they wanted to have a solution where if they wanted to seamlessly integrate, that they could do so without having to buy another third-party product. More importantly was looking at WAM optimization and failover for high availability. Now, this is something that I think with today, especially with the remote workforce, and because we're using more SaaS applications, that this is becoming more of a requirement today than it was a nice to have years ago. The Meraki MX series security devices offer a variety of different options for putting together redundant interfaces for internet and WAN optimization. One of the great features I want to talk about here was having auto VPN provisioning and having the devices be able to, in the, you have to change ISPs for whatever reason, you don't have to re-IP or re-key secure tunnels. And last but not least, something that all of you from HR or cybersecurity is about having application-aware firewalls and content filtering to prevent and eliminate sites that may contain malware or may violate internal corporation policies for types of content coming into the organization. Real quick, I want to talk about, I'll go to the next slide here. Let's get that. There we go. Is that in this use case here for this manufacturing retail destination client, they have, one of their challenges was they had no IT staff. There was nobody dedicated for this organization, and they really wanted someone to not only provide managed services, but from time to time they wanted to be able to go into their own equipment and see traffic for themselves. In their existing environment, and I'm sure all of you can appreciate this, is that having so many different manufacturers for network firewalls and wireless becomes very cumbersome to manage. And this was the case for this use case study here. And they also had no zero network visibility. So part of the challenges here said in the requirements that they were really looking for that single management pane. And I know Kevin did a really great job talking about how you can manage all through an HTML5 browser, all of the devices all downstream. They were also looking for assistance in PCI retail compliance. So within the wireless and wired network, they wanted to make sure that they had a design structure that way they could keep point of sales on its own network without any interference from any other part of the organization. One of the biggest pieces too was the amount of investment that this manufacturer had, and that was they had several hundreds of programmable computer models or PCMs that were downstream in their network that they needed to have secure with a server that was controlling different inflows and outflows within their manufacturing process. So with the Meraki solution, we were able to set up a requirement with microsegmentation and be able to isolate through certain rules via the firewall and the switches who and what could have access to those systems. And last but not least, the requirement here was having a robust guest access that would allow users to be able to roam free throughout the entire premise, to have seamless network access. But more importantly, they wanted to track to see what users were doing or accessing at any given time. So in the future, they wanted to have more of a location-aware application. Meraki's solution would enable that for them in the future. So I guess the question is why use Winslow Technology Group for this? Because as we are a technologist here, we have a complete understanding of the outcome of what you're looking for, from everything that comes down to, making sure that you have the appropriate licensing for the duration and what level that you need. From a design concept, we take great detail and we go through a rigorous process in making sure that the design meets the outcome that you're seeking. In addition to that, we offer a variety of different deployment services. And I will say one of the great things about the Meraki solution is once the networks are up and running and they're designed, deployment of additional devices downstream later on, as Kevin had talked about earlier, is that it provisions itself seamlessly through the cloud. Optimization of services. So part of Winslow Technology Group is we have a deep understanding of network requirements and seeking to make sure that the products are operating within the parameters and the desired outcome of you, the client. We also have configuration for seamless integrations between different types of authentication protocols. So if you're looking for 802.1x type of authentication for wireless, that means you have to enter a username and password. We have ways of integrating all of those services, whether they're in Azure space or your on-premises Active Directory environment. And the fact that we take a very consultative approach, we also offer with that a managed services. So if you're one of those clients that are seeking to offload the burden of managing a network, Winslow Technology Group with Meraki solution provides a great managed services, as Kevin was saying earlier, that it's set up very nicely for MSPs like ourselves to come in, manage, and be able to deploy your network. At this point, this really kind of concludes our use case study. And if you have any questions, I will hand this back over to Alex. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, thank you for that, Peter. Kevin, great overview of the portfolio and capabilities. And Peter and Kevin both don't run away just yet, because we actually did get a few questions from the audience. Seems like the material you guys provided was very much thought-provoking. So first question, do the surveillance camera series also fall into co-terminations for licensing purposes?
So yeah, I can take that one. Yes, anything that was mentioned from a hardware standpoint would fall under the Meraki co-termination model. Like I said, pretty much what the dashboard will do will automatically divide up the duration of licenses that you've purchased for everything that's running in the organization and average it out across all the hardware devices. So yes, the cameras would fall under that. And again, if you were interested in just doing something different, maybe you want the cameras to have a different end date or ordering a different duration for the cameras specifically, you could opt into the per device licensing model and kind of manage the cameras separately from a licensing standpoint.
Okay, very good. So staying in that vein of licensing, investment, and so on, how would one go about calculating an ROI on their investment in Meraki?
So again, with the capabilities of the remote management right in the dashboard, you're going to be able to realize cost savings in other areas, such as from an IT standpoint, especially if you're working with an MSP to manage that, as well as the the increase in cost savings on different durations of licensing. That can be something, the longer you have the duration of the licenses, the cheaper they're going to be. And again, there's going to be that, that management capability that is taken off of your plate is really going to be quite noticeable.
Got it. Okay, very good. So I got to tell you, there's even more questions coming in now, and I'm sorry, folks, we're running out of time, so we will get back to you via email. This has been really, really great content. A lot of questions being asked. They're very, very pertinent and interesting. And you know what? Speaking of being stretched, and I know that's a common theme that's come up quite a bit, having someone who provides you with proven and trusted advice is absolutely invaluable. So this is where, 3 of Winslow's complementary assessments come in: the data center infrastructure assessment, the disaster recovery assessment, and my favorite, the NIST security evaluation. All 3 of these are each a 60-minute consultative interview. Will give you a detailed picture of where your environment currently is and where it should be headed. So don't wait and contact your Winslow account executive or email us at webinars, plural, at winslowtg.com. So again, we did have some additional questions. I'm sorry, we've run out of time. We'll get back to you via email. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope we've provided you with some valuable knowledge and definitely got the thought process going. If you would like more information about either Winslow or Meraki, please drop us a note at webinars@winslowtg.com. Thank you again. See you next time.